One of the enhancements in Plant 3D for 2022 is an isometric enhancement, and it deals with the way that themes are addressed. You'll see that the appearance is much different, and hopefully you'll find it a little more user-friendly. To be able to access that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into the project setup. To go into the project setup, right-click on the title of the project and choose Project Setup. And it's going to take you to the Project Setup dialog box where you can select the isometric drawing settings. And then below that, you'll see a subcategory of themes. Right off the bat, you'll see that it is different. You can still choose the ISO style that you want, or you can choose to create a new ISO style. You can give it a new style name, you can copy it from an existing style, or just create a new style altogether. After you've done that, you can see that you have three parts to your themes: the default piping, the override section, and in the override section, you'll see the different override themes: existing piping, fitting to fitting, small bore piping. And then within those, you have more choices that you can make. You can also enable and disable them by group, or you can go by individual feature and enable or disable those. In the branch piping, you have a couple of branch piping themes: the offline instrument connection and the vent drain piping. You can also go and set the symbol scale, and of course you can enable or disable the parts such as annotations, bill of materials report, or the dimensions, and then you have some other details that you can also control. Another enhancement in AutoCAD Plant 3D for 2022 is the XML Editor. We're going to go ahead and go into a project setup again. We'll use the same procedure of right-clicking on the title of the project and going into Project Setup, and then going into the isometric drawing settings. We'll find the themes once again. And looking at the themes, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a tool icon, and that opens the ISO Style Editor. Now, you once had to do this with an external editor, and now you'll see that the ISO Editor is built into the interface here. So you can go into anything that you need to adjust here, things that you normally would have had to open up in either a notepad or an XML editor, and you can view it from within this interface. So you can look at it on the table, and you can also go into the code as well. You can make the changes that you need to make in the code and then have those take place. It's a much shorter procedure and a lot less cumbersome than the way that you had to do it prior to this release. Another enhancement is the isometric dimensioning. We're going to access this the same way that we've done before, by going into the project title and choosing Project Setup with a right click. And once we get into the project setup, we're going to still go down into the isometric drawing sections. Now, previously we had worked in the theme section, but when we get into the isometric drawing sections this time, we're going to drill down until we get to the part that says dimensions. And you'll notice that you have your ISO style there. You have settings. You can go through the settings there, and you'll see for the display you have various settings that you can control. And also in the second part, such as gasket dimensioning, you have also other options that you can choose there. You have end-to-end overall, where these are your anchors, so you can edit the anchor points. Before, this was something that you had to do in an XML editor. Now you can do it within this interface. So this applies to the end-to-end measurements as well as going into the string and the locating. And we'll just preview what you have in the string section as well as the locating. And you'll see that you can edit the endpoints there as well. Now you can also choose what to ignore by adding a part that you want to ignore in there or exclude. You notice I'm checking the bend off here, so this will be excluded when I add the exclusion, and you notice it's now added to the list. Now this one is working with the default theme, but of course you could go to the other themes as well and edit those individually. And if you have a section that requires the XML editor, you can still go to the ISO style editor within this interface. So you can go to the specific parts that you want to edit, and you can view them on the table. And then if you need to make code changes, you can also make the code changes within this interface.